A day inside Pompeii, 79 A.D., 24 hours before Vesuvius. You wake up on August 23rd, 79 A.D., and you have no idea this is your last morning. The sun filters through the wooden shutters of your insular apartment above the bakery. Your wife, Livia, is already awake. She barely slept. The tremors yesterday rattled amphorae off shelves across the forum. Not the first time. 17 years ago, in 62 AD, an earthquake shattered half of Pompeii. You were still enslaved then, working in your former master's bakery. Now you own it. The city rebuilt. Life continued. Why would today be different? Here's what we know from archaeology. Pompeii had approximately 11,000 residents on the morning of August 23rd, 79 AD. By the next afternoon, at least 2,000 would be dead, entombed beneath 6 meters of volcanic ash and pumice. But this isn't a story about the eruption. Everyone knows about the eruption. This is about the 24 hours before. The last ordinary day in a city that had survived earthquakes, political upheavals, and centuries of Mediterranean life. How do we reconstruct a single day that ended 1,944 years ago? Through carbonized bread, still in ovens, through graffiti scratched on brothel walls, through the skeletal remains frozen mid-flight, their bones still holding clues about what they ate for breakfast. Modern volcanology, combined with Pliny the Younger's eyewitness account written weeks later, allows us to pinpoint not just the day, but the exact hour Vesuvius exploded. So here's the question we'll answer today. What did the last normal day in Pompeii actually look, sound, smell, and taste like? And why did no one run? Let's walk through your final 24 hours. You won't make it out. But for now, you don't know that. For now, you're just a baker with a business to run. 10 a.m., your bakery, Via dell'Abbondanza. You descend the stone staircase from your apartment into the heat. Your pistrina, bakery, is already roaring. 4 grinding stones, powered by blindfolded donkeys walking in circles, crush grain into flour. The rhythmic scrape of millstone on millstone has been Pompeii's heartbeat for generations. Archaeologists from the Pompeii Archaeological Park identified 34 commercial bakeries in the city, serving a population dense enough to need industrial bread production. Yours is bakery number 32, cataloged in the 1950s excavations. The official version of Pompeii, the one taught in schools, paints it as a prosperous Roman resort town, a Capri of its day, wealthy patricians summering in seaside villas, frescoes of gods and nymphs, sophisticated plumbing. All true, but incomplete. The inconsistency: Pompeii wasn't a resort. It was a working-class port city. The Villa of Mystery's famous frescoes, owned by one family. Most Pompeians lived like you, freedmen, shopkeepers, dock workers. The graffiti preserved on walls tells a different story than the tourist brochures. Secundus defecated here. CIL 45243. Weep, you girls. My penis has given you up. CIL 4 1882. This was a city of 11,000 people crammed into 66 hectares, living on top of each other, gossiping, fighting, fornicating, and ignoring a volcano that had been smoking for days. Pliny the Younger, writing from Misenum across the bay, noted that Vesuvius had produced cloud-like formations for over a week. Modern volcanologists call this phreatic activity, steam explosions caused by groundwater hitting magma chambers. It's a warning sign. But to you, standing in your bakery kneading dough, it's just Vesuvius being Vesuvius. The mountain always smokes. Why didn't they evacuate? We'll return to that question. But first, you have customers. 12:30 p.m., the Forum Baths. You've closed the bakery for midday. Too hot to work. The August sun turns cobblestones into griddles. You join the flow of men heading to the thermae, public baths, where underground furnaces heat water to near boiling. Here's how we know what you did this afternoon. The skeletal remains in the Forum Baths include a man clutching a loaf of bread. Excavated in 1823, his bones showed advanced arthritis in his hands, the baker's curse from decades of kneading. Archaeologists dubbed him Marcus the Baker, though we'll never know his real name. His bread was still identifiable, carbonized, never eaten. The baths are crowded. Men scrape olive oil and grime off their skin with strigils, curved metal scrapers. The air is thick with steam and sweat, and the sulfurous tang that's been growing stronger all week. Someone jokes, Vulcans having indigestion. Laughter echoes off the vaulted ceiling. Methodological note: we consulted 3 primary sources for this reconstruction: Pliny the Younger's letters, Epistolae 6:16 and 6:20, written to historian Tacitus around 104 AD, describing the eruption from 30 kilometers away. Giuseppe Fiorelli's plaster, casts 1863 to 1875, which captured the exact positions of victims by pouring plaster into voids left by decomposed bodies in hardened ash. These casts show families huddled together, a dog chained to a post, a pregnant woman shielding her face. Modern volcanological analysis by Dr. Giuseppe Mastrolorenzo, 2010, published in PLOS 1, which used thermal imaging and pyroclastic flow models to determine that victims died within 15 minutes of the main eruption, not from suffocation, but from thermal shock at 300 degrees Celsius. The pattern we identified: normalcy bias. Pompeii had survived catastrophe before. The 62 AD earthquake had been devastating. Temples collapsed. The Forum cracked, but the city rebuilt. 17 years of normalcy, new frescoes, repaired aqueducts. Why would this time be different? In the baths, no one panics. Another tremor shakes the walls. Tiles clatter. Men steady themselves. Someone curses. The conversation returns to tomorrow's gladiator games in the amphitheater. You're looking forward to it. You have 25 hours to live. If you value these deep historical reconstructions, where we piece together individual lives from archaeological fragments, consider subscribing. This kind of research-intensive storytelling exists because of your support. We're building a community that believes the past deserves more than surface-level summaries. 6 p.m., your apartment, 2nd floor. Dinner is fish. Salted mackerel from this morning's catch, grilled with garlic. Olives from Campanian groves. Bread, your bread, dense and dark, the kind that sustained legions. Wine diluted 3-to-1 with water, as civilized Romans do. Livia picks at her food. "The mountain," she says. "I'm not looking at you." You glance out the window. Vesuvius dominates the northern horizon, 8 kilometers away. The summit is shrouded in gray haze. Ash, fine as flour, has been drifting down since yesterday, dusting rooftops in white powder. The streets look like winter, if winter were warm. "We should go to Neapolis," Livia insists. "My sister." "Neapolis is 2 days' walk," you interrupt. "We have orders to fill. The senator's banquet is tomorrow. The gladiator fights. We can't just leave." Here's the central revelation, the evidence that archaeology has given us. They knew something was wrong, and they stayed anyway. How do we know? The distribution of bodies. Of the 1,150 victims excavated so far, many remain buried. The majority died not in their homes, but in the streets, clustered at the city gates. They were trying to escape, but not on August 23rd, not when it would have mattered. Dr. Andrew Wallace Hadrill, former director of the Herculaneum Conservation Project, analyzed the timeline, August 20th to 22nd. Minor tremors, steam venting from Vesuvius. August 23rd, morning, visible ash plume. Earthquakes intensify. August 24th, 1 p.m. Eruption begins. Plinian column reaches 33 kilometers into the stratosphere. August 24th, 1 a.m. Next day, first pyroclastic surge hits Herculaneum. Everyone there dies instantly. August 25th, 7:30 a.m. Sixth and final pyroclastic surge buries Pompeii. The pattern? People evacuated too late. When the eruption started at 1 p.m. on the 24th, the initial phase dropped pumice, light, porous volcanic rock, onto the city at a rate of 15 centimeters per hour. Not immediately lethal. Most people could have walked out. But by nightfall, your 3 meters of pumice had collapsed roofs. Escape routes were blocked. When the pyroclastic surges came, superheated gas and rock traveling at 700 kilometers per hour, there was nowhere to run. Sitting at your dinner table on the evening of August 23rd, you don't know any of this. The ash falling outside is annoying, not apocalyptic. Vesuvius has smoked before. The earthquake in 62 AD was worse. You rebuilt then. You'll rebuild again if needed. Pompeii is eternal, you tell your wife. The volcanic evidence contradicts you, but you won't live long enough to know that. 10 p.m. Your bedroom. Livia is asleep finally. You lie awake. The bed frame, wooden, rope-strung, creaks with every breath. Outside, the city has gone quiet. No drunken singing from the tavern below. No clatter of cartwheels. Carts are banned during daytime to reduce traffic. Just the low, continuous rumble from the north, like distant thunder that never ends. You think about tomorrow, the gladiator games. Your cousin's son is fighting, a murmillo, the fishman gladiator with the heavy helmet and rectangular shield. You've placed a bet. 5 denarii on him to win. What this changes. Understanding Pompeii's last day forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth about human nature. We are very, very bad at recognizing slow-motion disasters. The psychological term is normalcy bias, our brain's tendency to underestimate catastrophe probability because it hasn't happened recently. Modern examples abound. Residents staying in New Orleans as Hurricane Katrina approached, 2005. Villagers refusing to evacuate near Mount Pinatubo until days before eruption, 1991. Climate scientists' frustration at public inaction. Despite decades of warnings, Dr. Pier Paolo Petrone, forensic anthropologist at the University of Naples, studied the biological evidence in Pompeii's victims. His 2018 paper in PLOS ONE revealed that victims' blood boiled inside their veins from the heat. Their skulls exploded from vaporized brain tissue. This wasn't a gentle burial. It was instantaneous vaporization. Yet on August 23rd, you don't panic, because earthquakes were common. Campania sits on a fault line. The 62 AD quake was recent memory, but Pompeii survived. Vesuvius had no historical eruption record. The last major eruption was 1,800 years earlier, Avellino eruption, 1800 BC. No living memory, no written records. To Romans, Vesuvius was just a mountain, economic pressure. You're a freedman, freed slave. Your bakery is everything. Walking away from it for a maybe disaster, unthinkable. Authority figures stayed. The magistrates didn't evacuate. The priests kept temples open. If leadership doesn't flee, why should you? Who is affected by understanding this? Anyone living near active volcanic zones today. The Vesuvius Observatory monitors 3 million people currently living in the modern eruption danger zone around Naples. They've studied Pompeii obsessively because it will happen again. Not if, when. Contemporary volcanologists use the phrase Pompeii effect, the tendency of populations to ignore evacuation orders because previous warnings were false alarms. It's killed thousands in modern eruptions. Mount Pelée, 1902, 29,000 dead. Nevado del Ruiz, 1985, 23,000 dead. You fall asleep around 11 p.m. The ash has stopped falling. Maybe the worst is over. It hasn't even begun. If you found this reconstruction valuable, this blend of archaeology, forensic science, and historical empathy, consider liking this video. It helps the algorithm surface this kind of immersive history to others who crave depth over clickbait. We're building something different here. August 24th, 79 A.D., 10 a.m. You're back in the bakery. The ash has returned, heavier now. The sky has an odd yellow tint. Your slaves are nervous. One keeps glancing at the mountain. You tell him to focus on the dough. At 1 p.m., Vesuvius explodes. The Plinian column, a vertical eruption jet named after Pliny the Younger, who described it, shoots 33 kilometers into the atmosphere. From this height, prevailing winds push the ash cloud directly over Pompeii. If you were 10 kilometers south in Stabii, you'd survive. 10 kilometers north in Neapolis, you'd survive. You're in the worst possible location. Recap of discoveries. Pompeii knew danger was present, ash, tremors, sulfur smell, but lacked the geological knowledge to interpret it. Normalcy, bias, and economic pressure kept residents in place during the critical evacuation window, August 20th to 24th morning. The eruption was survivable. Those who fled immediately on August 24th at 1 p.m. Likely made it out. Those who hesitated died. Death was instantaneous for most, caused by pyroclastic surge heat, 300 to 400 degrees Celsius, not suffocation. The ash burial came after. Modern populations face identical risks. 3 million people live in Vesuvius's modern danger zone. We study Pompeii not as ancient history, but as disaster preparedness. Questions remaining. How many actually escaped? We'll never know. Estimates range from 20 to 50% of the population. Those who fled left no bodies to excavate. Did anyone return? Yes. Tunnels dug through the ash layer show systematic looting in the months after the eruption. Survivors, or opportunists, came back for valuables. Could modern Pompeii evacuate in time? The Vesuvius Observatory has 72-hour early warning systems, but evacuating 3 million people in 3 days. Even with modern infrastructure, it's a logistical nightmare. The archaeological record ends at 7:30 a.m. on August 25th, when the 6th pyroclastic surge, the deadliest, entombs Pompeii under 6 meters of ash. Your bakery is buried with the oven still hot. The bread inside carbonizes but doesn't disintegrate. In 1930, excavators will find it, still recognizable after 1,851 years. Your body will be found in the Forum Baths near the Caldarium. The plaster cast made from your body cavity shows you lying on your left side, knees drawn up, one hand covering your face. You didn't make it out of the building. The heat killed you before the ash even arrived. Livia's body is found in your apartment, clutching a wooden box containing 37 silver coins, your life savings. She tried to grab what mattered. It didn't help. Pompeii was not eternal. But because it was buried so completely, so suddenly, it became the most well-preserved snapshot of Roman daily life we possess. Every carbonized loaf, every graffito, every skeletal hand still reaching for a doorframe. These are the fragile threads connecting us across 2 millennia. You were wrong about Pompeii's eternity, but you were right that it would matter forever, just not in the way you imagined. Pompeii teaches us that ordinary days end without warning. The mundane, a bakery, a bathhouse, a fish dinner, becomes precious only when it's gone. What other last normal days should we reconstruct? Ancient disasters? Pre-9/11 New York, Berlin, August 1914. Let us know in the comments. As always, we'll see you in the past.